If you are watching this, you are interested in going to the Latin American country of Honduras. I'm here today as I have just spent a couple weeks in Honduras, just got back recently, and a lot of questions come about Honduras of whether it is safe enough to travel to. That is usually the chief concern when people are understanding whether or not they want to go to a place. Obviously, am I going to be safe while I'm traveling there? Well, there's a lot of positives of Honduras, and there's a lot of negatives. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through step by step what I think the positives are, the negatives, and in the end, let you know if Honduras is a place that you should put on your travel radar for 2019 and beyond. Let's get into it. I want to start with the positives because Honduras has a unique place in geography. It lies directly on the Caribbean, which of course allows for iridescently blue water that is just incredibly turquoise and beautiful to swim in, and allows you to get some of the best scuba diving in the world. The islands of Utila and Roatan are world renowned as being some of the best scuba diving of all time. I just went and I got my certification for PADI open water diving there on the island of Utila. Shout out to Parrots Dive Center. And I absolutely loved my experience there. It was a blast. You feel like you're not even in a Spanish-speaking country, which has a benefits, positives and negatives, especially if you are an English-speaking person. It's actually a former Caribbean island that changed hands between the English and the Spanish during times. So because of that, they have a strong Caribbean and English-speaking influence there, which of course leads itself to some nice Caribbean twang on the food and also lets you speak English. Negative there is that you don't really get the Latin American vibe. It doesn't necessarily feel as Honduran as other parts do, but I digress. I'm talking about the Caribbean blue water, how beautiful it is, and the scuba diving. Some of the best in the world. I'm a novice, but from everyone that I was meeting there, they said that the visibility that you can see in front of you is something like 10 times as good as other places that they've been around the world. So if you're a scuba diver, Honduras, the Bay Islands, especially Utila, you have to go. That is a huge positive, and the nature to explore is incredible underwater. Another positive for Honduras has to be the cost. Everything is dirt cheap. I've traveled around 10 Latin American countries now, and I think I can say with certainty that Honduras was by far the cheapest country that I've been to. So, that being said, we're talking food, transportation, accommodation, souvenirs, what have you. Everything there was dirt cheap and allowed you to really ball on a budget, if you know what I'm saying. Now to the negatives. In Honduras, it is recommended that you do not go out at nighttime. If you are, you have to take cabs or Ubers to get around from bars and restaurants. That put quite a sour taste in my mouth, as I am one who likes to go out, get out and about, see exactly what different places have to offer that you wouldn't really find necessarily in other places. For example, if I'm walking down the street and all of a sudden I hear some incredible music playing out of the corner of my ear, I want to go follow that. But in somewhere like Honduras, like the town of San Pedro Sula or Tegucigalpa, which are probably the two largest cities in all of Honduras, that's not possible. Everyone that I talked to that was in hostels there said that they would not recommend going out at night. There wasn't really a party culture unless you were on the island of Utila, which was a bit on the safer side, but in general, you can't go out at night, which really limits the amount that you can see as a tourist. Transportation-wise, Honduran transportation when it comes to the bus system is not as advanced as some other Latin American countries. I would put it on par with somewhere like Guatemala, where a lot of chicken buses are used, and some of the vans that they have, the VW type vans, are not air conditioned. When you're driving around and it is 42 degrees Celsius or 108 degrees Fahrenheit with 80-degree humidity and you don't have AC, it is not fun. That being said, it definitely added a stain on my thought of the transportation in Honduras, and it really just was not pleasant in the 2 weeks that I traveled around by bus. If you're gonna rent a car, it's a whole different story, but I was traveling by bus and it was not that pleasant. The food. People travel for food, and I don't think Honduras is well known amongst Michelin star restaurants or Michelin star chefs of having some of the best gastronomy in the world. And after tasting it firsthand, I can vouch for that. They have a lot of tortilla, kind of flour-based tortilla concoctions that are like burritos or tacos, but just aren't as good. This concoction that they have in Honduras called a baleada. It's similar to a quesadilla, but the dough on the tortilla is a bit more floury. It's tasty, but it's just nothing, it's not that great. So you're not gonna travel to Honduras for the food. Somewhere like El Salvador actually has really good food options, international food and also local food options, pupusas, which are really tasty. But Honduras just did not do it for me. And the obvious concern is safety. When you're traveling to places, you wanna know, is it safe to be in the place that I'm going to extend a couple-week trip to? And from what I can tell in Honduras, it did not feel safe. Just walking around certain places such as San Pedro Sula, which is, at least up until a couple years ago, I'm not sure current standing, but it was known as the murder capital of the world. Those things can change, but just walking around the town during the daytime, it did not feel like a place that, even if it had tourist attractions, it had a complete lack of tourist attractions to see. It did not feel like a place that you wanted to be walking around solo. I took cabs to get around, and the safety, you can kind of feel it in your bones when you're walking around, and that combined with different stories that you hear from locals, Honduras just does not have a solid foundation as known as being a good place for tourists to be going and traveling to right now. So, in conclusion, when I look at the differences in the positives and negatives, for me, it is a clear-cut answer. I would not go to Honduras if I were you. The combination and confluence of having bad transportation mixed with safety concerns, a lack of really good food options. Nature, okay, you have Caribbean scuba diving and a couple other spots, including Lago Yahoa, which is supposed to be beautiful. But in conclusion, the negatives just don't outweigh the positives for me. So if I were you, I would definitely look into other places to travel within Latin America, because there are tons of options. And if you are interested, please check out some of my other videos throughout Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and other countries that I've traveled to. And if you do enjoy these videos, please click on the subscribe button right here. It'll help me out a lot as I'm just starting to get out. And please like and comment on the videos below. Until next time, this is Paulo. Hasta luego.